The year is 2025. Donald Trump is back in the White House. His administration, a cast of familiar faces, runs the show. But behind the scenes, chaos reigns. A scandal erupts, revealing the administration's reckless disregard for national security. At the heart of it all, the encrypted messaging app, Signal. Top Trump officials, thinking they were having private conversations, used Signal to discuss highly sensitive military operations. Details of a planned bombing in Yemen targets, weapons, timing were all laid bare. The officials, emboldened by their perceived security, spoke freely. They underestimated the reach of technology and the persistence of truth. Among those in the chat, Pete Hegseth, the hawkish Secretary of Defense, Michael Waltz, the former Green Beret turned National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, once a Trump rival, now a loyalist, and Stephen Miller, the architect of Trump's immigration policies, still whispering in the president's ear. Together, they formed a tight circle of power, a circle that was about to be broken. This wasn't just gossip or political maneuvering. This was national security information carelessly shared on an app designed for secrecy, but not immunity. The potential damage was enormous, the fallout inevitable. Pete Hegseth, the firebrand veteran, now held the reins of the U.S. military. His hawkish views, once confined to Fox News appearances, now dictated military action. On Signal, he was a vocal proponent of the Yemen strike, arguing for a show of force. Michael Waltz, the National Security Advisor, was a man of action. A former Green Beret, he brought real-world experience to the table. But his appointment had raised eyebrows. Some saw him as inexperienced, too close to Trump. The Signal messages, revealing his unguarded comments, did little to quell those concerns. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, was a study in contrasts. Once a Trump critic, he had since become a staunch ally. His presence in the Signal chat showed the extent of his loyalty, but it also exposed him to accusations of hypocrisy. Rubio had been quick to criticize others for mishandling classified information. Now, he was caught in the same trap. Stephen Miller, the architect of Trump's most controversial policies, remained a shadowy presence. Little was known about his role in the Signal discussions, but his inclusion in the chat spoke volumes. Miller was a survivor, always close to the center of power. His presence hinted at the administration's inner workings, and its potential for recklessness. These men, bound by ambition and ideology, had climbed to the highest echelons of power, but their careless use of Signal threatened to unravel it all. Enter Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. A respected journalist known for his in-depth reporting, Goldberg found himself an unwitting player in the unfolding drama. Through a technical error, a simple oversight, he was added to the high-level Signal group. Suddenly he had a front-row seat to the administration's most sensitive discussions. The messages Goldberg saw were explosive. Detailed plans for the Yemen strike, cavalier comments about allies and enemies, and a blatant disregard for the sanctity of classified information. Goldberg, faced with a journalistic dilemma of epic proportions, knew he had to act. He weighed the consequences, the potential fallout, the risks to national security, and his own safety. But in the end, the decision was clear. The public had a right to know. The Trump administration's recklessness could not go unchecked. Goldberg published his expose in The Atlantic, sending shockwaves through Washington and beyond. The Signal messages, laid bare for the world to see, confirmed what many had suspected. The Trump administration was a powder keg of chaos and incompetence, a danger to itself and the world. The reaction was swift and predictable. The White House, caught red-handed, scrambled to contain the damage. Denials rang hollow. Attempts to downplay the significance of the leaked information backfired. The administration had been caught with its pants down and everyone knew it. The Senate Intelligence Committee, tasked with overseeing the intelligence community, launched an investigation. Hearings were held, accusations flew. Democrats, outraged by the blatant disregard for national security, demanded accountability. Republicans, caught between their loyalty to Trump and the gravity of the situation, offered a mix of tepid criticism and outright defense. The hypocrisy was staggering. These were the same officials who had spent years lambasting Hillary Clinton for her use of a private email server, accusing her of jeopardizing national security. Now they stood accused of the same crime, their own words coming back to haunt them. The Signal leak was more than just a scandal. It was a symptom of a deeper rot within the Trump administration, a culture of impunity where rules were meant to be broken and consequences were for suckers. a culture that threatened the very fabric of American democracy.